please proceed.
Honoured President Shine, honoured delegates and friends. In 1966, a fellow JC, Robert F. Kennedy, gave a speech on creating a world of liberty. Allow me to begin with a passage from that speech known as Ripple of Hope. Each time a man stands to defend his ideals, or acts to improve the lot of others, or strikes against injustice, he sends forth a tiny ripple of hope, and crossing each other from a million centers of energy and daring, those ripples create the currents that can wash away even the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance. Representing JCI Denmark, my name is Bryde, and under the title Creating Global Change begins with one dedicated active citizen. I will speak about what I think is the basic principle of creating global change, and about the dedication of active citizens. And I want you, as JCs, to understand that each time you unite to create an impact, you begin to create the ripples of hope that will create global change. Kennedy's expressions, ripples and currents, represent to me the basic principle of creating global change. Have you ever stood at a lake and thrown stones? Close your eyes for a second and imagine that you are at a little pond and throw a stone into the lake. Can you see the ripples moving? Now imagine throwing that same stone into the ocean. I'm guessing most of you don't see any ripples this time. You can open your eyes again if you like. The ripples represent the change we want to make, and the waves represent our society. In an ever-changing world, our ripples have to compete with the waves of society. And in that competition, we must unite to throw stones big enough, with enough force, and often enough to keep our ripples visible, to make an impact. And you can't hold back, because if you do not throw one single stone, nothing will happen. There will be no ripples. There will be no change. It begins with one action: throwing the stone. Now, before I begin to speak about dedication, have you ever heard a speech so powerful that by the end of it, all your hairs went up on your arms, and you had a lump in your throat because you were almost to tears? This was exactly how I felt when I heard a 16-year-old girl speaking for the General Assembly in the United Nations. Her name is Malala Yousafzai. She spoke on the universal right to education just 1 year after she was shot in the head for raising a critical voice. For raising a critical voice in a place where that is dangerous at best. Malala's point is, everybody has the right and needs the opportunity for education to be better. And even her assailants should have that right. It is that selflessness, that charity, to act for someone who may have even hurt you, that to me defines a truly dedicated active citizen. It's people like Malala who accept the risk of personal sacrifice, of personal suffering, even death, in order to fight for something which is far greater than themselves. I truly believe that creating global change begins with one such active citizen, who calls out to the world to correct that which is wrong. A person whose call is so passionate, whose actions are so courageous that they're impossible for us to ignore. And in creating that change, we must stand together. JCs have followed the call of Henry Kissinger for nearly 100 years. The fact that 200,000 members today act together to create a positive impact is a testament to the values that we represent. With 5,000 chapters spread all across the world, we are in a perfect position to send forth millions of ripples of tiny little hope. We have in our unity the strength and the resources to create the ripples that will create global change. Indeed, we can do this even over the resistance of selfish men who resist change for their own personal gains. I believe, indeed, this to be our duty as active citizens. Concluding, the basic principle of creating global change is it must start with one single stone. One person must act and get the others to act with them. One active citizen calling out to the world to correct the wrongs of society, and active citizens would follow. And when we answer that call with our strength, our unity, we will create global change. It is the answer that we have the energy to give. It is the answer that we have the courage to give. And it is, if you ask me, the answer that we have the duty to give. And I would like you all to find your stones and throw them for all our sakes.